Nigeria, by extension, Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Good evening and welcome to Ways Primetime. My name is Choma Kalu. Now, the Nigerian police force, earlier announced in October, motorists with tinted windows must carry a tinted glass permit or risk arrest, fines, or even vehicle impoundment, right? So this move, however, has sparked a very heated legal battle. The Nigerian Bar Association says the enforcement is unlawful, pointing to pending lawsuits that challenges the very legality of the policy. At the center of the debate are fundamental rights, freedom of movement, privacy, human dignity, versus the police argument that tinted glasses aid criminals in hiding their identities. So tonight, we're deliberating on the fact, of some people saying, oh, this is for security reasons, this is good for us. We're actually asking, is this policy truly about security or just another way to burden Nigerians, on the road? That's the conversation tonight. So remember, Ways is all about you, as you are the why in Ways. So be a part of this conversation tonight and every other night. Head on down to YouTube and subscribe, to Official Upgrade TV. Like, share, invite your friends and family to join the show now. And when I open my phone lines, I would really love to hear your thoughts on this topic because it touches on almost everybody that drives, on the road. And as always, as I always do on this table, here's a quote for you to ponder on. It says, no policy can be greater than the Constitution. And this was said by the Nigerian Bar Association, the NBA. We're going to come into all of this because it makes the basis for our conversation. I'll go on a short break, and when I come back, I'll take you through my news interest for the day. Don't go away. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching Ways, and we're talking about the tinted glass permit saga and what it has to do with the Constitution, and the right of citizens. But before we dive into that conversation, I've got two barristers stand by to help us, expand on this particular topic. Before then, we're going to look at some news stories that caught my interest this morning. And the first one I have is a sad one, really. It says, many fear dead as petrol tanker explodes in Ogun State. Very sad indeed. Now, the story says an unverified number of people have been feared dead following a tanker fire accident along the Abeokuta-Shagamu Expressway. The accident occurred on Friday around 1 a.m. According to reports, Babatunde Akinbi, the spokesperson for the Ogun State Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Agency, said a 33,000-litre petrol-laden tanker overturned due to excessive speeding, spilling its content on the highway and triggering a fire outbreak. He said the case of an inferno caused by a 30,000-liter fuel-laden tanker which fell on its side and spilled its contents around 1 a.m. today along the Abeokuta Shagamu interchange stretch of the PMB Expressway due to excessive speed and loss of control has been reported. Now, he added that the fire spread to other vehicles and electric poles, burning a truck and a tow vehicle and destroying a PHCN cable supplying electricity to Mowe and its environs. Now, he said, though the casualty figures cannot be ascertained presently, rescue and emergency services made up of Trace, Ogun State, and Nestle PLC Fire Service, FRSC, and the police are still on the ground to restore normalcy and orderliness after quenching the fire and carrying out the decantation process, he said. Now, like I said earlier, this is a very sad news, and I don't even know why I started with this story. But when I saw it, I was really sad because you don't plan these kind of things, right? But then again, to point out, that's Ogun Shagamu Expressway. Oh my goodness. Whenever I have to travel by road, I dread that area because the road is terrible. And so the amount of traffic that happens on that road is, oh my goodness, it's not something that should be experienced. And I'm wondering why at this point we still have that bad road there, right? The traffic that happens there is a standstill, I promise you. So each time I have to travel, I'm praying, oh God, please, 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 let me get by this place before it's dark. Because now the traffic, some of the effects, look at this one, the tanker falling, fire outbreak, there's robbery, there's a lot of things that go, kidnapping that go on, along that axis. So I think instead of us always doing damage control as a nation, why don't we do our due diligence, fix that road? Fix that road. And you see, all these big tankers, they always ply that road. And for each time maybe we're driving beside one, it's so scary because they are carrying something heavy and the roads are I have seen accidents times and again on that road, and it's not a good thing. Let's fix it up and know, okay, maybe what else we should deal with is how sane the drivers are, because yes, that's another contributory factor. Some of the drivers, you're seeing the road is bad, but then you want to engage your fast and furious talent on that road. It doesn't make any sense. There's nowhere you're rushing to. Take your time and go through it. And then we hope and pray that the government do what they are supposed to do. But before they do, please know that you only live once, really. So be careful. Treat your life like it's just one that you have. All right? Moving on, my second story of interest is from the EU mission now. The EU mission seeks constitutional and judicial reforms ahead of 2027. I mean, this is just 2025, but we are all agitated about 2027. This election is going to be amazing. Now, the story says the European Union Election Observation Mission, the EU EOM, has called for judicial and constitutional reforms in Nigeria ahead of the 2027 general election. Mr. Barry Andrews, a member of the European Parliament, who also headed the EU missions to the 2023 general elections, led the EU EOM delegation and spoke during a visit to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, headquarters in Abuja yesterday. Now, this came as the chairman of INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, also called on the National Assembly to expedite action on review and passage of electoral reforms, warning that uncertainty over the legal framework could disrupt preparations for the 2027 polls. In his remarks, Andrew said the mission's task is to assess the progress made in electoral reforms since the last general election. He commended INEC for its cooperation and dedication to strengthening democracy in Nigeria, but said some challenges still remain. Now, Andrew said, we have noted significant improvements in several areas, though some challenges remain, particularly those requiring judicial and constitutional reforms, which take more time. However, our recommendations are made in line with international standards, which Nigeria and many other countries have committed to. Election observation is part of a global effort to strengthen and support democracy, not only in Africa, but also worldwide, including Europe. That's what he said. So I highlighted the story to also note that 2027, It seems like it's far, but then every day we're reminded that it's not so far, and that is sadly all our leaders are thinking about right now. And we always have these observation bodies that monitor our elections, and for them to come out and call out for, you know, reforms in the constitutions, that's what we've been clamoring for, that's what we've been calling for, right? So maybe because it is a foreign body that is talking now, maybe they will heed, you know, the cry. But we shouldn't always have to wait till someone else come and tell us that our house is on fire. We need to place these things in order before 2027 arrives. If not, we're going to get the same result. Like I always say, you'll be very foolish to do things the same way and expect a different result. It doesn't work like that. So I'm really hoping that we heed their cries and actually put out reforms that would, you know, switch up the constitution a bit, you know. Anyway, lastly, on the story I have this evening, is from Bishop Coker. He says, Nigeria missed its path to greatness after 1960. Interesting story. Now, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Hassan Coker, has said Nigeria missed a historic opportunity to build a strong and united nation after independence, citing the absence of visionary leadership, the trauma of political assassinations, and the destructive role of military rule. Now, Coker, speaking on a TV program on Thursday night, reflected on the trajectory of the country since 1960, insisting that Nigeria has failed to produce a national dream capable of inspiring its people. He said, no inspiring speech since independence. The cleric argued that no Nigerian leader has delivered a speech to match the significance of independence, you know, since 1960. He said, I've always said, for example, close your eyes and ask yourself after the 1960 speech whether there is a speech of any president in Nigeria that has made you feel wow. Coker lamented that successive leaders, particularly military rulers, stifled the intellectual debate in governance, and said once the soldiers found out that they couldn't win the intellectual argument, they didn't allow intellect to become a dominant force. Therefore, as they said, people were teaching what they were not paid to teach. Now, Coker criticized the nation's failure to address such painful chapters honestly. He said, unfortunately, we have a country that doesn't like to confront the truth. We often say as Africans, forgive and forget, and we bury the hatchet, but the handle is outside. According to him, the unhealed wounds of history has derailed Nigeria's founding vision. I don't beg to differ. I agree with Bishop Coker because, yes, that's what it's been, right? We all always just have a decorative speech, very amazing, very, very enticing, word enticing, but these speeches are always far away from the realities of Nigerians, right? We're not telling ourselves the truth. We just put out something decorative, something scripted, and then we come out, the leaders come out and they read it to us, and it's very, I don't know, my guest yesterday said, you are a very unserious person if you still take the words of these leaders to heart. And sadly so, because they tell us one thing and they go to do another thing. So what to believe? And it's really sad. Like Bishop Coker has pointed out, we still have unhealed wounds, you know, from the very beginning, you know, and it's sad that 65 years later, we still haven't healed from those wounds. Anyway, that's all the stories that caught my attention this today. We're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll dive into our story, our topic of interest. Like I said, I have two very brilliant barristers on standby to help us expand on this topic. So when we come back, we'll dive into it. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, tonight's discussion centers on tinted glass permits, and we're looking at the law, the rights, and the limits of police power. Just before we dive into it, I want you to remember you are part of this conversation, and you can send me an SMS or WhatsApp on 0818-038-4663. You can also call on us at 070-2500-7749 or 0701-4242-420. Let's hear what you have to say. Now, we see, the police have said that tinted glass permits is about fighting crime, but the Nigerian Bar Association, they are insisting on their own end, saying it's an unlawful policy that tramples on constitutional rights. With enforcement set to begin, they said they were to begin October 2nd, that was yesterday, right, despite a pending court case. We're looking at a clash between state power and the rule of law. So tonight we're asking, is this really about security, or is it another attempt to stretch police authority at the expense of citizens' freedoms? I'm not doing this alone. Joining me now to, break this down is Barrister Justice Uhuebu, a legal practitioner like we know, and then Okechukwu Wangoma, the Executive Director of Rule of Law and Accountability Advocacy, RULAC. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Oh, good evening. Thank you so much. So I don't know, I'm particularly excited that you both are here, because I want to learn as much as my audience wants to learn, because all of these things, they've been hashing it, and these people are coming. So we want to really hear from the legal standpoint, from every angle of it, actually. So first of all, I'm going to come to you, Barrister. So constitutionally now, right, can the police force... Can they force motorists to get a tinted glass permit under the current legal framework, especially, given the military era decrees involved in it? Can they actually do that? Barrister? Barrister, are you with us? Okay. Is Mr. Okechukwu still here with me?
Can you hear me?
Oh, Barrister, yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead. Did you hear my question?
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. Yes, I got your question right. Actually, the truth is this. The decree was made in 1991.
Yeah.
Actually, during the military era, it was a decree, but it's now an act. The truth is that the police is actually, once a law is made or it's always only police that will have to enforce it. But the problem we're having now is not about the possibility of the law or the decree or whatever. The issue now is that the police now, they are trying to reflect in their own way. I've always known that there is a tinted permit. Whenever you
Barrister,
and once you get a
I'm
permit, that
struggling
permit
to
is
hear
supposed
you.
to serve for life.
Barrister, can you hear me? All right, I don't know what that was, but I think the network is at it again. But let's hear from Mr. Okechukwu. So what do you think? Do you think they can force motorists to actually get tinted glass permits?
So for let me clarify, I'm not a barrister.
Yeah, I pointed that out.
I'm simply Mr. Okechukwu Wangoma. I'm a human rights advocate with special focus and interest on law enforcement accountability.
That was my error.
Yeah, the police is relying on the Motor Vehicles Prohibition of Tinted Glass Act 2004, which prohibits the use of tinted vehicle glasses without a permit. And the police cites national security and public safety concerns, But, and of course, as you know, this is not new. Over the years, successive inspectors general of police have come up with this, introduced this, permit and withdrawn it, often inconsistently and without legislative review. Mm-hmm. So this is what has led to confusion among motorists. It has led to abuse by law enforcement, and then the litigation, as we see now, the NBA is in court. And happily, the court has given an interim order suspending the enforcement.
Yes, sir.
And what this does, this does is to underscore the role of the judiciary in checking executive excesses. You notice that in spite of the matter pending in court, the first PRO went ahead to issue a statement saying that the police were going to go ahead to enforce this. And by ordering the police to respect judicial processes, what the courts have done is to affirm that no agency, including the police, is above the law. And this is very critical in a country where enforcement exercises, often degenerate into harassment, arbitrary arrest, extortion, and violation of the dignity of citizens. Now, nobody can doubt that the police have a duty to enforce the laws in order to enhance security, but enforcement of law must be lawful, proportionate, and non-abusive. And this is where the problem lies, because in practice, the tinted glass permit regime has become a pretext for harassment at checkpoints, with motorists subjected to intimidation, arbitrary vehicle impoundments, and extortion. Such practices, as you know, erodes public trust in law enforcement and undermine respect for genuine security measures. And let me also point out that if the concern of the police is really about criminals using tinted glasses, I think that the approach is wrong, because modern policing should rely more on technology-driven surveillance. Surveillance by the police should not be to target political, critics and political opponents. Modern policing should rely on technology-driven surveillance and intelligence, not blanket restrictions as we see. Vehicle registration, we have vehicle registration databases, we have automatic number plate recognition systems, we have CCTV monitoring. These should, these ones offer more effective and right-respecting alternatives than roadblock shakedowns. So I think that the police should, really, because this is about, revenue generation, and it's about extortion. And for me, that is what it is. Otherwise, why are they ignoring the fact that the NBA has gone to court, and they should have waited to allow the courts to take a decision one way or the other? But I'm happy that the courts have given an interim order suspending, this, pending the determination of the court that the NBA has taken to court. That's my opening,
Yeah, I mean, thank you for that opener, because, yes, of course, we saw a few hours ago the court actually suspended it. But, yeah, I still have a couple of questions, right? I also understand that this policy is supposed to be managed by a, private vendor. And also in Nigeria, we have a history of funds that diverted, into private accounts and all of these things. How do we ensure transparency and accountability, in this arrangement? Let's say the court finally comes back and say, okay, this is okay, we should do it. How do we ensure that transparency?
So that is one of the key issues. That is one of the key issues, because it is also about transparency, accountability. The police cannot use private accounts to collect official fees, official, money. And that on its own, runs against, issues of transparency and accountability. And this is one of the issues that the action in court needs to determine. I'm sure that by the time the court, determines this case by the NBA, a lot of questions, including this about how should the funds be collected, by whom, and how is it to be accounted for? And that is very important. Transparency, accountability is very key. But the police are trying to dodge all that. That is why they are in a hurry to begin enforcement without allowing the matter to be determined by the courts.
Okay. I understand that Barrister is back here.
Yeah. Yes. Can you hear me very well now?
Perfectly. Yes, I can. I can.
Okay. Yeah. See, the problem we have here is not about the enforcement or about this, but the major problem is that the police are now trying, or they have introduced, or want to introduce the issue of the fact that you must get this permit every year, you must renew it every year. Thereby, it has become an avenue of another taxation in Nigeria. That's just what it is all about. Because ordinarily, if you have permit that you're using, it will be lifetime thing for the vehicle. Remember, these vehicles are not produced in Nigeria. They are not used by Nigerians. If you look at that law that comes to an act now, that was made in 1991, what Section 1 provides is that no person could any glass fitted on a motor vehicle to protect. Come with me. Hello?
Yes, we're here.
Yes. No person can cause any glass fitted on a motor vehicle to be inside. It has a BCD shaded color or
Barrister.
cause any.
Barrister, sir. Your audio is still very not good. Do you think you can leave and come back? Let's see if we can fix that. Thank you. So coming back to you, Mr. Okechukwu, right? Beyond this tinted permit brouhaha, right? We've had history. You can hear me, sir, right? Mr. Okechukwu?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so in Nigeria...
I think
can you hear me well?
I think he's trying
Hello?
to,
Can you hear me well now?
Okay, yes, Barrister, yes. I think it's
Can
clearer. You can go on with your train of thought, sir.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say now is that section 1 of that law says that nobody should be caused to fix on a motor vehicle. The implementation of that is this. These vehicles are not produced by Nigeria. They are not manufactured by Nigeria. They are factory tinted lines. So you will even see that initial that the enforcement is in Nigeria. Because anybody that goes to buy a car that is tinted, it did not fit the glasses. I don't know if you understand. So if you look at the interpretation of that section, it has explained itself properly. But moving forward.
All right. I think we need the Barrister to fix that up. Mr. Okechukwu, are you here? Mr. Okechukwu, are you here?
Yes, I am here. I'm seeing.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, apart from this glass permits, tinted glass permits problem in Nigeria, the police force has already, gathered a bad reputation of harassment.
Yes.
You see maybe a young boy, maybe he has a dread like mine, and then driving a good Porsche car, and you don't believe that he should have enough money to, afford such a car. I mean, you're not even checking properly. You're stopping them. You're going through their phones. There is a history. There are stories we've heard of you going through your phones and asking them to transfer money to you, outrageous amounts of money. Why are they paying the money? Nobody knows, right? Or you threaten them with jail time, something. So how do we curb that? What does the law say about the rights of citizens? And is it really being implemented in Nigeria? Because it doesn't seem so.
Okay, so that's a very interesting, angle that you have, brought up. But before I even go to that, let me point out that some of the vehicles, that come into this country come in with factory-fitted, tinted glasses, and there are good reasons why these glasses are tinted. They are protective. They protect against ultraviolet rays and all that. There are medicinal reasons why some of these glasses, but of course there are those who go to fit in artificial tinted glasses. So the police need to understand that a vehicle, a vehicle glass being tinted does not automatically translate to the user, being a suspect of crime. After all, a lot of criminals pass road blocks and pay money and go their way. Now, you've talked about, profiling of young people on account of, the way they dress, maybe dreadlocks, tattoos, they're carrying laptop or phone. Every now and then, we hear police, the Inspector General of Police or Commissioners of Police in states issuing directives that police officers should stop harassing young people, should stop searching phones and laptops. But these things keep happening. They keep happening. It's just like, Inspector General of Police coming up to say, I withdraw police officers from, from big men, from so-called, what do they call them, influential people, So, whereas Nigerian police does not even have the number necessary to provide security to the general public. So these directives come, and yet the criminal activities that police officers carry out, which lead to these directives being taken, continue to happen because there is no seriousness in enforcing the law, in protecting the citizens. Because the truth is that a lot of the police officers who do these things do them on the authority of their commanders, and they also make returns to their commanders. So the accountability is not there. Those who do them hardly get punished. They're hardly held accountable. So the culture of impunity prevails. They continue to do them. Today, you hear the IG comes out and says, stop, police officers have no right to search phones. The next day, you hear such things happening. And so it means that the police needs to demonstrate that they really mean to enforce discipline by ensuring that they bring to account people who commit these crimes, bring the image of the police, rub it on the mud, and subject citizens to human rights violations. Unless the internal control systems work, external oversight and accountability work, and that disciplinary actions are meted out to demonstrate that the authorities are serious about these directives they give, condemning this activity. This is will continue to happen.
All right. Just before we continue this particular conversation, because I'm interested in the police, having a cleanup, within their own immediate cycle, right? Because it's getting too much. Anyway, we're going to go on a very short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. You're welcome back to the show. We're talking tinted glass permits and the police, and we're having all the conversations involved in this particular topic. And I want Barrister to speak to me. So, Barrister, are you here now?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me very well now?
Yes, I can hear you. So, from your legal standpoint, tell us what's going on.
Yeah, it's just like we rightly said, or I was trying to explain before. As far as we are concerned, first of all, NBA has gone to court.
Yeah.
Thank God there's a court order today restraining the IGP and the police from, trying to exercise that or start implementing that. That judgment was given by a federal high court in Asaba today. Yeah. And it is well. Then, secondly, let us also understand the fact, Nigerians should understand the fact that this is just a plot to further, impose unnecessary tax on Nigerians again. Because ordinarily, formally, once you get a tinted permit, it is for life for that vehicle.
Yeah.
But now they want to make it an annual something. Once, if you want to renew your vehicle particulars, you also get another tinted permit.
So that's like
so
a
why
revenue
should
generating means for them now.
That is what I'm telling. They have they have given them what do I call it, a target of how much they will be generating every month.
Exactly.
That is exactly what is happening. It's just like now. I don't know if you are aware that the Nigerian police now is also telling Nigerians that proof of ownership also should be renewed every year.
Oh yes.
There are going to be multiple litigations. There are going to be multiple litigations in this country. So I don't know where we are going. And each one they want to do, they will use Nigerian police. Each one they want to do, they will use Nigerian police. But now, let me also shock you. Every Nigerian police that owns a car is going on tinted glass.
Yeah.
Who is also checkmating them? Nobody is checkmating. So who is putting who? Listen, we are no longer in the era of animal farm that believe that all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Who is checkmating them? Most 95% of police officers that are using vehicles, most of their vehicles are not even factory fitted. They are the ones they fix themselves.
Yeah.
With this nylon cover, dark cover nylon something. And the ones that now go to the market to buy that come with factory fitted glasses, you are not trying to impound their vehicles. Moreover, they are not the ones that manufacture these vehicles. Like I was trying to explain before, if you look at section 1 of that 1991, it said that no person shall cause any glass fitted on a motor vehicle to be tinted, shall cause any glass. So they are not the people. The one that is using the vehicle is not the person that put this tinted glass.
Yeah.
So by implication, you have not violated any law. So and when you look at it very well, it's neither here nor there. So if any individual goes to court, definitely you will win because you did not put the tinted glass yourself. It was a factory fitted tinted glass. And the white people that manufacture these cars and put all these things, they have their reasons. Just like my brother there said, most of them is for health grounds, infrared light, and all the rest. So the only thing here is that the government is just trying to use the police to more generate money from the public. There's nothing else in this. And that was why
Absolutely.
The NBA, there's a section in NBA we call Section on Public Interest and Development Law. That is Speedel. It is not on that Speedel now have to go to court in order to make sure that these things are stopped. And if you can see the impunity. You can see the impunity from the first PRO, what he said. And not even that is to tell you the impunity of these people. And they know that once the matter is in court, it becomes sub judice. You don't do anything on that matter until the termination of that. I remember even NBA had to send a note of warning to the police lawyer that he might risk being dragged to the NBA disciplinary committee. And you see, my happiness now is that NBA, every Nigerian is waking up to their rights. That is my happiness. Barrister, this government has made every Nigerian to not know.
Let me ask you this, Barrister. Now, the court has suspended this whole policy, right? But now, as at yesterday, because this started, I think, on the 2nd of October, over 100 vehicles, especially in Cross River, has been impounded for this same reason. So what happens to these impounded vehicles?
No, definitely they will go and collect their cars. Because there's a court order now. In fact, ordinarily, with or without this court order, for the fact that the matter is sub judice is in court, the police, that is to tell you the level of impunity in this country. The people who say they are the law enforcement agents are even the ones violating the law.
Yeah.
So that is the problem. Now that there is this order now, everybody will have to go and collect his own vehicle. There's no two ways about it. Do you know the funniest part of it? As of yesterday, a car belonging to a judge of the High Court was impounded in Delta State.
That's
Yes,
correct.
are you
That's true.
laughing?
That's true.
That's
That's
why I
true.
now ask this question. The police officers, who will take them? Who will impound their own vehicle? Because I know even police officers don't drive with vehicle license in this country. They
I
don't.
mean, that's another
Yes, they
angle of
don't.
this conversation. But let's not go
No, but
there
it's
They are
yet.
true.
above. But it's true. They are above the law. Now, what do you expect? They are above the law. No, it's funny. It's laughable.
It is.
They don't drive with vehicle license. Not to talk of tinted permit. So who is fooling who? I love what is happening. In fact, I told one judge, Federal High Court one day, there's a bail application I made and the court was trying to be funny. I said, listen, we are in the era of judicial activism. That's the era we are now. And thank God, every Nigerian now knows his or her right.
Yeah.
That is the era we are now. And thank God for that. It is the government that have pushed everybody to come out and to know and to start asking questions. More are coming, oh. It will not stop here. Yes,
Well,
more are coming.
I agree.
More litigations are coming.
I agree. You know, I had a first-hand experience. I think I was traveling to the east with a friend of mine, and of course his car had tinted glass, right? And then the police stopped us. I think somewhere around Anambra State. And then when we came down, we were like, okay, cool. You want to check if we are, know our identities. We both brought out our ID cards showing that we are journalists in Nigeria. Right? We are not anyhow people. Do you know, before we left there, these people first of all delayed us for 30 minutes. And before we left there, we gave them, or rather, not me, because I was already pissed. My colleague gave them, I think, almost 10,000 naira or something. Because the man kept going on and on how they don't pay them well as police, and how they are suffering. Look at us going to enjoy the Christmas and they're on the road. You know, all of these very sympathetic stories. And I said it was none of my business. And, my friend was like, please let them not keep us here or go into the car. So it's a very sad reality. But let me come to you, Mr. Okechukwu. So in balancing security and the individual rights, right? In balancing these two things, where should the line be drawn, really? Who determines what level of tint is acceptable? Who enforces it without abuse? So yes, how do we balance government duty and the rights of citizens? Of course, the government have their role to play, of course, to protect the country as a whole. But where do we draw the line so it doesn't infiltrate into the citizens' rights in the law now?
So, I mean, I already made a point, and my brother has already reiterated what I said, that having a tinted glass is not on its own a crime. But the police is trying to make it look like it's a crime. We all know that a lot of vehicles come with factory-fitted tinted glasses, and they are for good purposes. Of course, the police have a duty to enforce the law, but you see, this whole thing about enforcement of tinted glass is not about law enforcement. It is not about public safety or national security. It is about revenue generation and extortion. It's about extortion. If you remember what happened during the COVID-19, when even the Inspector General of Police had to come up with protocol on enforcement of COVID-19, guidelines for law enforcement of COVID-19 protocols. The police, converted the opportunity to enforce those protocols for self-enrichment, for extortion. They will stop, even when they arrest people who have broken the guidelines or the rules. What they simply do is to collect money from them and let them go. So for them, it was not about enforcing law. The police is established to protect and to serve the people.
Yeah.
But what we often see is that they turn the instrument of their authority.
Mr. Okechukwu, are you still there? Okay, I think I lost him. Barrister, I'm coming to you just before we go, right? How do we ensure the cleanup that can happen in the police force, because it is getting really bad. In fact, these days, nobody says I want to be a police officer anymore because of the integrity they have now.
You see, when you say it's getting very bad, it's an understatement. It has gotten very bad. If there's any other word bigger than bad is what we should use. But let me also say this. I think it's our problem. In fact, the society is messed up. Remember that these police officers we were talking about are also products of the society. There's no two ways about it.
Yes.
I met a policeman, a senior police officer, who once told me that when they joined the Nigerian police, before they were posted, immediately that they were in police college, when a team of police officers, investigators, went to his village to go and investigate about him. In order to know the kind of person he is, whether he's a fit and proper person to join the Nigerian police. But today you don't see that again. That is why you now see people that in fact, there are some police officers you see, you think they are kidnappers. The way they dress, their look, their everything. I thank God for the state who has stopped police officers going on operation with unmarked vehicles. You know what I mean by unmarked vehicles? Because you see police officers, they go for arrest, they go for operation with private cars. So who the people, you can't identify them. Yes, you can't identify them. They don't wear anything. You see them covering their face and all the rest. Is this policing? We all travel abroad. We see what happens there. When you see a police officer outside this country, you respect them.
That's right.
Their dressing alone, their gadgets alone, the gadgets in their body alone, you respect them. But not what we are experiencing here. I think we should go back to the beginning and ask, what is the problem? Scrutinize people before you admit them into the Nigerian police. So what is the difference between them and the person you say that is a criminal outside there? And that is why you're seeing this whole rot. The Nigerian police should go back to what it used to be before, during the recruitment exercise. It's no longer like that today. There are some people now, when you see them and you know their history, they are now police officers. You now ask yourself, is this the kind of people that are going to police you? So it is a societal problem. And also the government is also part of it, the executive, because of the fact that they are the only ones they normally use. So they shy away from the truth. They don't want to know the excesses of the police, provided anytime they want them or anytime they want to use them, they are there. You say somebody is complaining about his salary. Yes, I agree with that. The welfare of the police here, to what extent can the salary of a police officer, let's say a constable, can he pay a school fees of a child in the nursing school? The answer is no. And that's why you see all these extortion. But every year in, year out, security is being voted almost the highest in our budget. So who is deceiving who? Who is fooling who?
What in bad behavior? I mean, we saw what happened with Kwan, we saw what happened with the Ibom Air and the other girl. Did they not consider making her ambassador for something? You know, so we don't punish bad behavior, we enable it, and that's really bad. I don't know if I have Okechukwu back. Okay, Mr. Okechukwu, what would be your last words just as we wrap up?
My last word, as it will seem, is that I'm happy that the NBA has gone to court, and it is important that the courts have seen a good reason to, temporarily suspend this enforcement. The suspension of the tinted glass permit is not about encouraging lawlessness. That is not what the court is doing. It's about affirming the rule of law, due process, and proportional policing. Citizens have a right to question enforcement practices.
That's right.
And the police have a duty to operate within constitutional limits. security cannot be achieved by eroding civil liberty until Nigeria embraces policing that balances safety with rights, enforcement with accountability, and power with restraints. Measures like tinted glass permits will remain contentious. So I think that the Nigerian police must,
be cleaned up. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. And it was really a beautiful conversation with you both. I hope to bring you back on this show for another conversation in this line. All right, guys. Here we have it. You see, laws are meant to protect citizens. But they don't always, especially in Nigeria. You know, when regulations begin to feel like a burden, when rights are compromised in the name of security, we're left to wonder for whose benefits really is law enforced. This tinted glass permits policy, it just shines a spotlight, on the deeper issues. How much power the police have, how much oversight exists, how much respect we have for citizens' dignity. It just asks a lot of questions. And enforcement before justice may send a huge message that the strong rule over the weak. If rights are taken too lightly and laws enforced without full clarity and legitimacy, trust between the law enforcement and public, is very shaky. And I'm very glad that the court has suspended this whole thing, because it doesn't make any sense. And please, if your car is among the 100 that has been impounded, go and pick it up, because these people don't have a right to do that. Anyway, that's all I have for you tonight. If you missed my quote earlier, here it is. It says, no policy can be greater than the Constitution. And this was said by the NBA. Thank you for joining me tonight. Make your voices heard. If your rights are being trampled on, Nigerians, report it, challenge it. And like the barrister said, we're beginning to, awaken to our rights, and that is a good reform we're seeing in Nigeria. Because, you see, justice that is not served when the law is uncertain, justice just has to take place. That's all I'm trying to say. Justice just has to take place at some point. So I'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.